Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you, featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. I'm very pleased to say that I have a guest today who's not unlike a lot of the other guests whom I have interviewed in the past, who have all kinds of things to talk about, who are so inspirational, who've done things in their lives that everybody would probably be a little jealous about. And Karen McKenna is one of them. She's originally from Texas, moved to New York in the 80s to become a flight attendant, which I'm sure, and I remember myself just as an example, and she gave herself an opportunity to be part of the hospitality industry as a result. Now, let's just jump after her flying situation. She was introduced to the event planning industry by earning extra income on a subcontract basis. With the experiences from traveling combined with her involvement with media planning, she decided to embark on her own business. So we're talking about a person who is an entrepreneur. When I talk about her entrepreneurship, you're going to, again, I tell my audience, you're going to be so jealous. Now, I want to just introduce her first and have her talk all about the company, which is called Events and Logics, which she founded in 2008. Okay? So welcome to my show, Karen McKenna. It's a pleasure to have you on, and I look forward to having our audience listen to all the things that we talk about because, again, I think you're an inspiration to a lot of people. So welcome.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's just a once-in-a-lifetime, I guess, when you get to talk about, the things that you've done and kind of explain your career history. But basically, like you said, I founded Events and Logistics back in 2008, which is it's a destination management company, which basically, to make it pretty simple, is that we work with corporate groups that when they come into our city or really any city that they are visiting, we like to show it off and also let their guests be able to do like different tours, things that you wouldn't be able to do on your own, unique venues where they can have off-site dinners, transform their ballrooms into different themes, things to that nature. It's in Miami where we're home base, but we have offices in other cities, but where we're home base is such a great city because there's just so much to offer here. So yes, we're really a resource for meeting planners.
Yeah, and some of the meetings that you plan really involve some important people who probably the average person would love to meet. Would you tell us a little bit about your involvement with the International Women's Forum? Because that sounds like an incredible forum for people to sort of touch base and learn what each other's doing and how to enhance it and things of that nature.
Oh, well, basically that's an annual conference, and the women who are participants are invited to become a member of the International Women's Forum. So I was honored to be able to supply them with all their logistical transportation, which was about 750 to 800 women. And these are women of high stature that are very respected in the industry, in their industries and in the world in general. So logistically, like I said, we took them to 42 different private homes here of prominent women in the Miami-Dade area. They went on tours of Miami, but from an aspect of not your average tours, learning about the environment, learning about the challenges that Miami has. So in that aspect of it, it was just good to be a part of it.
All right, so we're going to get down to business right now and just sort of rehash a little bit. And so my question to you is, what is a destination management company really? I mean, certainly it speaks for itself when you talk about destinations, but just give us a sense, again, of what a destination management is.
Basically, we do everything the hotel doesn't do. Most corporate groups come down here for incentives, programs, or annual meetings. And when they're here, they have their general sessions, which sometimes we do their AV and we'll do their staging. But other times we're asked to do tours of the city for them that are preset. We're asked to do, like you said, like decorate ballrooms or find off-site venues that they could have dinners at that, like, again, they wouldn't be able to do on their own if they just came to visit. Really, anything the meeting planner needs us to do, whether it be to find a hotel for them, just exactly that, just whatever they need help with.
Yeah. Karen, companies today are cutting back on staff. They're cutting back on a lot of different things. And there was something in the Wall Street Journal recently which said there's going to be like 8 companies in the world that actually own everything. So knowing that, why do they come to you? And is it cutting back? Is it getting less and less, or is it getting more and more?
I actually see the opposite. I see that it's getting more and more. I just think there's such an opportunity for especially women to work from home. My business is primarily home-based. My employees mostly work from home. Obviously, when we have huge programs, we will all congregate and go into the office. But I think it just leaves a wide open window for so many smaller businesses to come in and have that more personalized touch. So most of my clients are repeat because of the fact that, we give them such specialized service. And we're not burning and churning out proposals,
Right, exactly. If you were to stand before a group of college students, for example, who are deciding or trying to decide what to do in life, what would you tell them?
That's hard because in college, I just don't really think you really know what you want to do. I didn't even know about this industry. So I think that people who are really good at this particular industry didn't even know it existed, to be honest with you. Or going to hospitality school, will teach you it. But, like any other job, it's just like you have to actually get out there and see if it's something that you love. I think if I had to give someone some advice, it would be that just to kind of research all the options. Don't just, pigeonhole yourself into one career because, as you could change your career several times in a lifetime.
And the way you describe the job, there seems to be quite a few different aspects to the job. Kind of map that out for us. So, so somebody gives you a call from one of the companies, and they say, we want you to plan an amazing event for our employees because we feel very strongly that they deserve to have something of that nature. And if you were to kind of stand up and say, all right, now where do I begin? So I want you to sort of give them a kind of sense of 1, 2, 3. Where do you begin? Do you talk to somebody to get some ideas? How does it all happen for you?
Well, as you know, from me, it happens because I volunteer. Well, I didn't volunteer. I worked as staff, to make extra money for just personal things, and it turned out to be something I thought that I could do and could enjoy. So I went and did odd jobs in like I said, in the hospitality field because being a flight attendant, I knew I wanted to be out in the public. I'm not the kind of person that can be in the office or not be involved with the public. So I think whatever field that you're looking at, you need to kind of experiment and ask questions. Huge forums like going, now with the internet, you can go on so many forums and ask questions. We have a meeting planning forum that you could go on and say, I'm interested in getting into the field. Where would I start? Or start as an internship, or like even with me, just working as staff to get a feel for it and kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm. But you get a call. Say, for instance, you get a call from a company and they say, okay, we know that you have a phenomenal reputation for making events really special. So we want you to kind of lay out the program. Where do you begin? That's what I want to know. Do you call different places? How does it all occur?
Oh, okay. Okay, for business for me. Basically, like I said, a lot of it is repeat, but a lot of it is I get a lot of referrals from the hoteliers that are in the city because obviously people are going to come and they're going to want to find a hotel first. And so they'll ask hoteliers sometimes what is, the best person that can help me with this. So you kind of start there, and then you just kind of listen to what the planner is looking for. They may have already booked their hotels, and now they say to you, okay, show me Miami or South Florida and tell me what my group needs to do based on their age, based on how many people, based on what you want to accomplish from this, whether it's team building, whether it's something that you want them to learn, with all the cultures we have here in Miami. And then just kind of see what they're looking for, and then go into a proposal. Or if they're trying to come up with a theme, they might. If you come to Miami, they may have done Latin and Caribbean type parties, and now we need to give them new ideas. So it's just a matter of, I start by sending them photos. I'm a real visual person, so I'm like, is this what you're thinking? And then like, yes, I like that thing. I don't like this. So that's kind of my process to get where I feel that, to get them the best proposal of ideas.
I see. Now, the question that actually I want to propose to you is that the passion that I hear in your voice about what you do seems to be really incredibly wonderful. So when you get up in the morning, how does it make you feel? I mean, what's your process?
Well, what gets me up in the morning basically is the creative process and the flexibility. I like the fact that I can make my own hours basically from the creative idea. I mean, I don't just work in South Florida. Like, we just did a program up in Charlotte where we took 500 people that were able to ride with race car drivers. I mean, that was just fun, exciting, something different to do that the group just obviously loved. So trying to come up with new ideas, visiting new cities, getting, my clients will call me and say, hey, now we're going to Scottsdale. What can we do there? And then I love that part of it, because I can go and say, okay, if I was here and this was my meeting, what would I want to do? And of course, budget's going to be a huge part of that. But, so that's kind of it. And the other part of it is, like I said, knowing the people that I've worked with them for so many years now. It's just a pleasure just catching up with them and making them look good. Because that's really, at the end of the day, if that meeting doesn't go well, that you're putting that person's job in jeopardy.
I hear you.
So,
please finish.
No. So that's why it's so important, and especially when you feel like they're your friends, you're like, you really don't want anything to go wrong. You're working in an industry where there's so many things that can go wrong because there's so many different vendors. So that's why it's just a lot of organization.
And what about, is it a woman's field or is it a male field, or is it both? From your experience, did you find that you're working mostly with women, or are you working with both?
Definitely mostly women.
Why would you say? Why would women and not men want a job that is so much fun? It sounds like an incredibly fun thing to do.
Fun, and it's a lot of details. It's a lot of being organized. It's a lot. I don't know why there aren't more men in the industry, because I don't want to say anything negative about them. I just think that women are so good at multitasking, and this job really requires massive multitasking because, again, like you say, you have so many things going on at one time just for one event, much less if you're doing 2 or 3 events at a time. So that would be it, I would think. But a lot of women love decor, and a lot of women love events, and so I think that's why they're drawn to it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, women are kind of, when you talk about organization, it sounds like that's the field for them. Now, that also reminds me, political. Okay. I'm just curious. Now, we happen to live in a state called Florida that has Mr. Trump, who actually in Palm Beach, he has his house and he has a lot of things going on there. Did you ever get a call from Trump's people or one of the other politicians?
I personally don't. I'm not saying that my field doesn't. I have actually in the past, I mean, we're going years back, but, he has that mansion Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, and we've rented out his ballroom space for groups that want to have dinner there. This is obviously before the election, mostly, but, so we've done things with him, with his golf course and things like that, but I personally don't have, the political venues don't really come to me because, like I said, most of mine are corporate, but I'm sure that there's companies that specialize in the government. Maybe that's something they bid on, as opposed
to a bid situation.
I would assume. I have never worked with them, so.
Yeah. Well, I'd like you to also tell our audience a little story. Maybe it's a funny story. Maybe it's a sad story or whatever, but I would love to hear one of the things that happened to you when you kind of planned and suddenly something either went wrong or it just made you laugh? Any stories?
Well, yeah. I have one. I don't know. It wasn't funny at the time, but I had a client that we had an event in New Orleans and for about 500 people, and I was speaking to the hotel that they were staying at, and I was talking to about the following Wednesday. And the hotel person kept saying, "Why do you keep talking about next Wednesday? They're already in the hotel. The party is tomorrow." Oh. So I had rented out a parade, to take them from the Ritz-Carlton down to the aquarium where I had the king and queen, and I had all the, this massive parade that the group was going to be all participating in, as well as a huge dinner at the aquarium. And it was the very next day. So it was a matter of I had to get on a plane that night. I had to just start calling people and begging them, saying, "Listen, I know, I've just got to fix it. Just tell me the best way to fix it." So we were able to pull it off. The parade people, I also had like a high school band. I mean, it's not something and getting a high school band is not easy. There's a lot of paperwork you need to go through. So it was just a lot of things that had to be pulled together. And when it was actually over, and the client, most of the attendees were from Chicago, and at the time there was the playoffs, so that kind of saved me because everybody wanted to watch the game. But we were ended up getting, able to get them into the aquarium, not the section that they wanted, but and that we had TV screens all over, so we made it look like we did it on purpose.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, that's a scary one. That kind of threw me.
Yeah. So it sounds like not only is it a lot of work, but it's really taking a chance that something could go wrong, and you kind of seem like the kind of person who jumps right up and fixes things, which is great. But here's the other thing that I think is really funny is that there are different places around the country, and when I say funny, forget the word funny, but what I want to know is, of all the places that you have planned events, which one was your favorite? And explain to our audience why.
Oh, gosh, there's just been so many. That's a hard question. I guess maybe, like I did one at the Smithsonian, and I really enjoyed that one. Because of the actual venue itself was so amazing, and the group, enjoyed it so much, and we just got to do so much interaction with them. Also in New Orleans, doing something at the stadium there, where or even at the Heat games here in Miami, where I was able to bring in some of the Heat players and the cheerleaders, and the group was actually able to, certain members were able to play with some of the players, and they go to the locker rooms, and so I think those are kind of the ones, because those are things that you could never be able to do on your own. You would never be able to get access to those places.
Why would athletes want to do something like this?
They get paid, I'm sure.
Okay. I knew that was going to be the answer, but I just really felt I need our audience to know what goes on. Yeah, money is really the big thing here. Okay, now let's jump a little bit to other things about you. And I was very impressed when I read this, and that is that you have become a guardian ad litem. Which really means that you're a foster and a foster parent. I'd like you to explain to my audience what a guardian ad litem does, and how do you get time to be a foster parent?
Well, to answer your first question, a guardian ad litem, to make it easy, is basically I represent children in court. My only objective is that child. It's not parents, who's right, who's wrong. It's just what's best for the interest of the children. So there is just no way that with foster care, there's just not enough social workers out there. As you know, they're so underpaid. There's just not enough of them. Sure. So I'm able to take on, right now I have 5, but I'm able to take on 1 or 2 based on my schedule to find out really what's going on with that child, where the judges and the attorneys just don't have that time to spend time with the children to find out what they really want or what's really going on with them, and to kind of be that buffer, even in the court sometimes, to feel that sense of, I'm so not so intimidating. and feel that they can talk and to get what's best for the child, whether it's to be with one parent or the other, whether it's to be put into the foster care system. I'm only there just to help the judge make the decision. He's the one that makes the decision.
Right.
That's what basically guardian ad litem is.
And from your experience, do judges really, do they take this very seriously? And if so, what would you like them to do for the kids? Is there something special that the kids need after you've experienced taking in all of these foster kids? What's would be the best way to handle situations which really are very delicate and it could be very scary?
Well, I really think they're doing the best they can with what they have. Again, it is a very limited income as far as, getting people in there and disability, because case managers come and go. Children in that kind of situation really go through a lot of changes. So, if you change, and that's why the guardian ad litem is so important, because I never change. Once I'm with them all the way through until the decisions have been made or the case closes. They don't all end badly. A lot of them end very happily. So it's just a matter of, they need more people, but, cost and that costs money. But there's just so many. If I could ask for anything, I would ask that more people become guardian ad litem. You could take on one child, and you find the time because it's just the one child, but that's a huge difference than you make in just one.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has one child, and that he, goes into the school and visits, and, you see how their grades are. You take interest in that child. You see what's really going on with them. And you do have to go to court sometimes, which may be inconvenient with your job. But I just really would encourage people, especially men. We have very few men as guardian ad litems, and there's so many boys that need that support. Yeah, if we could get more men to volunteer, and like I said, you could do it around your schedule. Like I work less when I'm in busy season. I'll take on less cases if I need to. I
see. So that's how it works for you. Now, does guardian ad litem exist in all different states in the United States?
Yes. They're called different things. Like there's CASA, and in Florida it's the guardian ad litem.
Right.
So in your particular state, you can just look into it and find out what options you have.
Sure.
But like I said, it's good because it's flexible, and it's not something that you get what you put into it, obviously, like anything else. But it's just for me, it's just at the end of the day, I can tell you, like, I sit there and I'll talk for an hour about a shade of a linen, which sometimes you can go home at the end of the day and go like, what did I really do to help the world today? Nothing.
Wow.
I picked a linen, or I talked about a photo booth, or whatever that is. But then with the guardian ad litem, it gives me that self-satisfaction, like, maybe I'd made a difference, or maybe I helped the judge make a decision.
That's wonderful. Karen, it's very interesting because you have a company now. You're an entrepreneur who's pursuing management and making events and creating all kinds of wonderful things. And then you're a foster parent and a guardian ad litem. Now, what a great way to wake up in the morning and say, look, I am doing two things that really satisfy me in ways that I can't even describe. In fact, I'm doing good in all different ways. That's an amazing thing. And I want our audience to understand, if you were to see change in your industry, if you were to talk to the younger generation, to knowing about how to be business owners or advancing in the field, what would you say to them?
I think you need balance. I think that's the main thing. And I kind of want to just touch on it for a second, is that women especially, I see it in, especially in my era. It's like I think I saw a speech by Elizabeth Gilbert that just really hit home for me. Like, we're the first generation that we actually had choices. So many choices. Where our parents before us, mostly moms stayed home, not all, but mostly it wasn't like, we have so many options. And I think that we as women tend to judge each other and tend to make life harder for ourselves when we're such an amazing gender, in my opinion. the things that we can do, raise children, keep the house clean, do the cooking, hold down a job. And we can't be all those things. So I felt like over the years that I just see like we put women in categories. Oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. Oh, you didn't have children. You're a career path. And it's just so unfair to us. I just think we just all, as females, especially right now with everything going on with the Me Too movement and everything else, is that we just really need to be nicer to each other, period, and just more supportive as women. Now, I'm thinking that's going to get better because things are changing so much for the younger generations coming up, and they can learn from our generation as well.
Oh, absolutely. So if you were now, we're almost at the close of the show. I always like to give my guests the last word, and certainly I'm sure you have a lot of things to tell them, but pick one which you think would be a great way to finish the show.
Well, I think if I had advice to give anyone, if this is an industry that you want to be in or you just want to be successful in the industry that you selected, I just think you really, and I said it earlier, is to learn how to have that balance and be happy with that balance in your life, not try to be and do it all. Because it can't be done. Something is going to be sacrificed, no matter.
Yeah, and Karen, if people want to get in touch with you, to your company events and logistics, rather, how do they do that?
Oh, they can either go to my website, which is eventsinlogistics.com, or they can email or contact me on my phone number. I don't know if you want me to give my phone number out to you now, but
you can if you want.
Sure. It's 305-586-2525, and then my email address is kmckenna@eventsinlogistics.com. Or I said you could just look at our destination management companies. You could probably find me there as well. Do I want to write a book? I thought about it. Just how, but I have not done anything about it, but I just kind of like, well, what would people want to know?
Well, I think people, based on what you've done as an entrepreneur, they probably want to understand how one gets started and how one gets to the point where they feel that they have enough business. Very hard to start a business. I'm sure you realize that, and, a lot of people realize that, and you could kind of each one of the situations that you were involved in, different events, which you could talk about, explaining to the audience or the readers, rather, some of the funny stories, some of the sad stories, some of the crazy stories. There's lots to be told based upon what I hear from you, Karen. So anyway, it's been a pleasure interviewing you. I think that what you are doing with Guardian Ad Litem and with your entrepreneurship, you're a really special person, and thank you for being on my show.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for listening to The Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.